I know it as. I don't necessarily know, like when you're driving, like what sort of data you would look off of it.
Yeah, there's you can set up all sorts of different gauges. And
sure,
stuff like
okay, that's kind of neat. Yeah, well, I'll put that on the to-do list.
There you go.
Awesome. So, yeah, so we'll head on out. Of course, remember the blend line.
Yep. What's the deal with the water up here, too?
Beats me. I think that just, well, it hasn't really rained that much the last few days. So I don't know where that was coming from.
Yeah.
At least not where I'm about an hour from here, so maybe they got a little something here. So the turn-in point for this corner I use is this little dot right there, little strip right across.
Oh, okay.
And then up here there's a new patch of asphalt, and I use the border right up there. It's kind of my turn-in. You can maybe go a little bit later, but this is not a nice, fast, wide corner, so you kind of can play around. And here I watch for the red and white on the left, and as soon as I see the edge, I'll turn in.
Oh, okay.
And then, yep, let it track out, but get over. And then break it between the 2 and the 1.
Oh, okay.
You could probably break a little bit later, but that's fine. And then turn in right at the 1 marker.
All right.
And that actually makes that kind of straight. And then, yeah, you just pull it through here. And here again, I just watch until I can see the red and white, and then I'll turn in. And then same thing, this one's super late, so I'm kind of looking over to the right, and then, yep, wait till I see the red and white and turn in. So I use the red and white areas a lot as my markers for the turn-in points, because they seem to show up in this track right when you're supposed to steer in.
Oh.
At least for my driving style, my car. This one, not so much, because it's a little bit flatter, but you can drive over this one a little bit, too. Because it doesn't bump you up too much, as long as you don't go over all of it. You can go over like half of it. So you see how it's pretty flat and then it jumps up? Good.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And this one's more aggressive, so you don't want to hit that too much.
Yeah.
And then here, I'll usually enter mid-track and then kind of dive in. If you could hug it all the way, great. But I'll go wide a little bit and then shoot through here like a straightaway. And so that gives me more speed coming through here, but you sacrifice the entry point on like corner 14.
Oh, yeah.
And then so here it's one big carousel. I'll usually turn in a little bit later there, but then yeah, and then just keep kind of the steady steering angle, and then hug it all the way back to the side here, and then turn in about now. Yep. Straighten it out. Good. Now look for this patch, and then when it changes, look for your turn in. Yep. Good. And you probably didn't have to brake that much.
Not too much.
Yep. Yeah, that's a fast corner. And it's just, you got plenty of runoff too, and so I usually don't see people get in trouble in that corner. Turn in, nice. Now on the throttles, you shoot out, good. And this corner, you don't really have to be that perfect on anyway, because you're kind of just setting up for this next one. Basically get over and then watch for your turn-in point, and then so I probably go a little bit later because you see it wants to shoot out.
Yeah,
yep. Yeah, just a titch later there. Yep, and on the throttle. Good. And then, pay attention to the brake markers, and you'll start to get comfortable with, okay, if you're truly jamming on the brakes, like, where do you need to do that? You know, like, I can usually wait till the 3 marker, but I'm slamming them on hard. And so if you screw up, it makes it worse. Get on the throttle. Now, you got more torque in your car, so my car's more of a momentum car, so I'm making compromises in some areas so I can keep my speed up before straightaways. Where, with this car, yeah, it might make sense to hug the track more, because when you get on the gas, you got more go. yep, that little spot right there. Good. Yep. Dive in. There you go. On the gas. There you go. Yep, as long as you don't pinch that corner, if you hit that dragon teeth there, even though they're not really teeth there, that'll unsettle the car.
Oh, yeah.
So kind of common sense, the higher they end up being, the more they screw the car up.
Yeah, right.
And of course, if they're not smooth, if they're the true teeth, you know, those that was definitely a lot better. And eventually, you'll get more comfortable with higher speeds and hitting those marks, but at those higher speeds.
All right.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I couldn't see. It's getting plenty of room though. See that? So when we're passing, like one guy almost clip us. Like there's plenty of track. And if you feel the car pushing out, you get off the gas a little bit. If it's pulling in too tight, you can go on the gas a little bit. Yep, it pushed out a little bit at the end there. And so rather than using your steering wheel to adjust your angle, that's one big wide corner. It stays fairly consistent the whole way through. So you use your throttle to steer the car or make minor adjustments.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Nice. Diving at the one. There you go. Yep. So if you are farther to the left side of the track, like at that 2 marker, you know, instead of still diving in, if you're right on the edge of the track at that 2 marker, now you're really ready to take that corner at the 1 marker. It's just a little scary because you're braking and turning, and you're on the wrong, you know, you're turning on the track there.
Oh yeah. Sorry, this was.
That's okay. So in this turn, don't hit the 8, stay a little wide. By about a car length. Stay a little wide, a little bit wide. All right, now turn in and on the throttle, all the way through here. Boom. And so you get going a lot faster now than if you hug that corner more. Now you might be able to hug it fine down the road once you get more comfortable with getting on the gas at the limits of the car, so you can play around with that. Remember, nice and smooth.
Yeah.
That's all right. There is a little bump there on the inside, so just be aware. You can unsettle the car. Yeah, stay wide, turn in. Not bad. Try and get a little bit wider, and then you'll be able to turn in a little sooner.
All right.
Nice and late, nice and late. There you go. Good, hug it in. Good.
There we go.
Yep, and a little bit of throttle's fine, but if you do it too much, it'll push the car out.
Right.
There you go. Yes, nice. can enter it however you like, but you know, you want to try and keep building up your speed before you hit the straightaway, because you got 13, which is the entry, and you know, the right-hander, and then the 14, the next right-hander, and then it does the kink to the left.
Yeah.
And so really, after 13, I'm almost on the gas, because I go kind of wide, and then that makes 14 straightened out. So my straightaway now goes, you know, almost 14 and through 1, you know, or 15, I guess, you know, through the straightaway. And so you're blazing down the main or the front straight at that point. If you hug 14, well, it may be a shorter path, but you've also scrubbed some speed.
Yeah.
And so usually the tightest corner is what you're aiming for, but if, you know, and at least for my car, you know, and then right at this one dive in, yep, exactly. At least for my car, since it doesn't have as much acceleration, I got to get on that gas sooner. And so that's how I do it. And it'll work in this car too. It's just a matter of, can you hug 13 and 14 enough to not go wide into 13.
Right.
And so you can play around with it a little bit. And so you can, you know, try going almost on the other side of the track, you know, but be careful with your speed, and then dive into 14 and then go midway, and then, which is kind of where I like to approach it, and then hug 13 all the way on the right. See what feels best for your driving style and your car.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Because like Eric Vanderveen, his little Miata, you know, he's got the same width tires that I do, and his car weighs 600 pounds less, so he's hugging that thing the whole way.
Oh, sure, yeah.
You know, and he's probably got just as much horsepower as my car now too, so, you know, so he can hug it tight. Well, I need to go a little bit wide so I can, you know, get on the gas sooner and make, you know, 14 without being so far on the inside of the track.
Right.
All right, just make sure to do your pit signal. Yep. Good deal. Well, I hope you had fun and learned something.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Yeah, the car definitely feels a lot different, so it's been been kind of a learning curve of trying to figure out how it handles compared to the first time I was out with it.
Okay,
so
sure.
This is good. Appreciate all the pointers.
Yeah, you know, just dial it in a little bit at a time. If you try and do everything at once, you're gonna do none of it that well.
Right. Yeah.
And so I try to pick one or two things, and maybe it's a corner. You know, maybe it's a particular driving skill. You know, like my brake zones. And so if you take me back to the left and drop me off by where people, you know, line up.
Will do.
And so, but if you try and learn everything at once, then it's going to be overwhelming.
Oh yeah, you never get it all right then. Yeah.
All right, you have to just pull over there a little bit, and then you kind of lean your helmet up a little bit and gently slide out the earpiece.
All right.
Awesome. All right, have fun today.
Thanks, appreciate it. See ya.